Alright, hello. My name is Jack Clairmont. I go to Sturgeon Heights, and my teacher is Mr. Walks. This is my IA I created. It is a platform game. I'll open it here. Sorry, it takes a second. A little slow of a computer I have at home here. Alright, so as you can see, it looks like the old game Mario, and you can run back and forth. I add a little slide feature. I figured that was authentic to the old game. As you can see there at the start, it does create new platforms as you're running, but also it does delete the ones behind you, so you keep storage open when for your processor, so the game doesn't slow down. As you can see when I'm jumping here, there's multiple sprites. I also have the images going backwards, so it's a little more realistic like that. You can see at the top there, as I go through these levels that I pre-generated, not pre-generated, but pre-made to generate randomly, you can see the high score tab goes up. And then also in the corner, I have the name Mario Bros. I just felt like naming it the old game, but also the icon with the mushroom from the game. And so basically what the goal of the game is just get as far as you can without falling in the void here. I'll do that. But as you can see, the high score tab resets when you do that. That's when you die. And there is a die method that I had, which is a wrapper method of the reset method, so that it knows if I was to ever add in the future some file handling to contain high scores, it would be able to basically distinguish you resetting the game to not save that high score even if you were doing well, compared to dying. And then also, as you can see, I have two buttons here. I'll click the R one is for reset, and then if you can hear on my keyboard here, clicking R also resets it too. So there is a few different ways to do that if you'd like, just up to the player and their experience with it. There also is the ESC tab for escape, and it does the same as the key. I'll close it there. But basically, if you open it there and it's working again, it usually runs a little slower on my computer. This computer is about 5 years old, and I have a ton of old games, but that doesn't matter. I made the tab this size just because I thought it was more comfortable. It looks like an old TV in my perspective, kind of like how the old game was, and my client and I discussed that. We thought it was very authentic to how the old game was, and I mean that was the most important part for me, was just creating a real experience to what almost the 80s, the mid 80s was with this game, as it was the most popular game in history at that point in time when it first came out. And so I'll show you a little bit of the code I got going on here, but basically you can see the high score tab. I'll reset it there, but it kind of crawled up a little there. So if you go to game panel, this is where a lot of the meat and bones is to the game. So you can see all of my imports. This is where the linked list and arrays and stuff get created for the game. There's the method for game panel. There's what the buttons are called there, the restart and the close. And then there's where the player is being created to. There's the reset. The reset method. It happens before every game, before the game timer, just so nothing comes up and breaks the game. Then there's the run tab. That basically just distinguishes where you're going to spawn and where the blocks will pre-generate in front of you. As you can see, I called them walls. I like to call them blocks, but I called them walls to be a little more specific. And right here is the reset method. And you can see under it, the wrapper method of death is just, like I said, to distinguish it. But basically, it resets every aspect of it, so it looks like it when you first ran the application. There's the make walls, and so each wall is about 50 pixels wide. And also here's like, each of these little blocks is basically, you can't see it because I took away the colors and added images, which I'll get to. But each of them are the different levels that pop up in the game. And they're a part of what I called the index, so it has a random method up there, right here. and it takes a random it picks a random integer, and it basically spits out that level. Here's the score counter. It's pretty simple. It just works with that title when you load the game. Might take a second here. Oh, there it is. So when you load the game, there's the title for the high score, and so that basically just adds one every time that one of those gets pre-generated. And then here's how basically Paint was coming. There's the player.draw, and I'll get into that once I get to the player class. Here is the buttons, their fonts and everything. There's that title. It switches it, so it adds the score counter that was beside the index. Here's the key events, so sorry about that. So all of the WASD and all the buttons, I have the ASCII table. Escape tab number is 27 to close it. R is to reset the game. And it just basically pulls the methods up there, but then once you get to player, it does everything like that. Then there's the release of those 4 buttons to control the player. And then here's the close method at the end here. But then getting on into the player, try to shorten this up here a little bit. So basically there's all the imports that I have for this one. And here's like key up, all the keys, all the aspects of the player, their height, their width, like their X and Y, just for collisions detection on the blocks. You can see here, it just basically tells you the speed, the velocity, stuff like that of how the player reacts in the game. And it's a little more of that complicated code there with if statements. But if you get a little down here, here's the collision for horizontal collisions. You can see the horizontal ones are a little different with the X speed and the Y speed compared to the vertical collisions there, which then it uses the Y speed. And it also has like a hitbox, which is a very common term, I guess, in the gaming industry. The camera, which follows the player, it keeps the player at here, I'll load that up. You can see if I hold my mouse here, the player stays on this Y axis the whole time. It just looks a little better in my opinion. I know on the old one, when you would run off to the side a little too much, he would run to the edge, but I just never wanted to add that because I figured it would be a little bit of a minor detail to get into compared to what I wanted to add. I could add it into the future though if I did want. And here's the draw method. So basically these are each image loading up. Like per se, you start in with that one where he's facing the right in a normal state. Then if you're, this goes off of the if statements go off of the keys you're pressing. So you can see key up and key right makes the jump right image pop up. And it's finding it on your computer at the moment to load the image into the game. And then also, if you look over here, it's just the same for the left side. And then if we go over to the walls, you can see the imports there, basic stuff, everything is kind of the same as the player. They basically just work as you don't control the walls. And they don't have their own you can't control the walls. They're basically the same with collision detection and everything, except it doesn't go off speed. But if I get a little down here, you can see the brick walls never change, so it just has that simple, it's finding that brick wall.png on my computer. And so that it doesn't repaint it, it does have that little method to it if image is null, and just keep it the same the whole time, because that'll take up a lot of processing on your computer. But basically, here's the try-catch blocks are in the draw method of my renderer, which simplify the game a little more to what I was trying to do. I was trying to create it into a .jar file to be able to send through an email to my grandpa, who is my client, because I feel like he would really appreciate being able to experience the game on his own computer and not just when I show him my computer or sending him videos of it. And so here's the mainframe. This is basically where like the URL is being brought up, first name, middle name, last name. This is stuff we learned this year, but yeah, that's basically my game, where the name Mario Bros was when I said that at the start. But I appreciate you taking the time to look at this. Thank you, and have a good day. Alright, hello. My name is Jack Clairmont. I go to Sturgeon Heights, and my teacher is Mr. Walks. This is my IA I created. It is a platform game. I'll open it here.